Hey guys, Boomslang here, and today I want to share with you my impressions of the Division beta. Now this isn't going to be a review where I say this is how the game is and how it will be at launch, because this is a beta and a lot of this stuff can change. But I am going to talk about the things I liked, the things I didn't like, and what I think needs to be adjusted. Now keep in mind that all of my experiences with this game have been on the PS4 or Xbox One, since I do not own a PC that can run this game. First things first, what did I like about the Division beta? Personally, I think the highlight of this game is the gameplay, from the shooting mechanics to the cover system and just the overall movement of the character. I think it all flows really well and plays crazy smooth. I really love how well the cover system performs. Moving in and out of it is very intuitive, as well as moving from cover to cover. There's also some pretty cool animations that go with it. And even though the devs have confirmed that the game runs at 30 frames per second on console, I think it's running higher than that, but just not high enough to say 60 frames per second, because it's obviously smoother than a regular 30 frames per second game, and that makes it easier to aim and allows for that overall smooth experience. And the shooting is extremely smooth, for a third-person game especially. It's not going to be as precise as most first-person shooters, especially since there is little to no aim assist at all, so you're going to have to practice your shots a lot. And there's also really good sound effects when you hit enemies and nail those headshots. The customization is also extremely deep, and I'm simply talking about the looks. If you want to add the stats of all the gear into the customization, then it gets even crazier. Right now, I just want to talk about the cosmetic, or just the appearance of the character. On my PS4 account, I have acquired 64 total cosmetic items for my character, and I continually cycle through the stat-based gear, so that makes the look of my agent change a lot too, even though the cosmetic items make it change a little bit more. And in the beta, there isn't a lot of variation in the stat-based gear, simply because it's exactly that, a beta. There's not going to be as much stat-based gear in a smaller section of the game. And also the inspect feature is nice. It gives you an up-close look at all the gear you have equipped, and you can see the small details on each piece, including the weapons. With all of the cosmetic and stat-based loot we have access to in the beta, it's pretty exciting to imagine all the possibilities in the full game. And that doesn't even mention the stat base that goes into it, like I mentioned earlier. All of the RPG elements of this game are ridiculous. I could do a whole video on that, and I'll probably do that eventually too, but I don't want to go over it right now, simply because it would end up being a 20-minute long video, and I don't really want to do a video that long. And also, for any of those wondering, yes, I have the bomber jacket, the one that you see in all of the videos. Another thing I couldn't get over was just how realistic the guns look in this game. Well, I mean, just how realistic everything looks, really. But for now, let's talk about the guns. I mean, you can read the serial numbers on some of the weapons. Red Storm did an amazing job on nailing all of the small details on these weapons to make them feel real. And I like the fact that there are several rarities of the same gun. Like, I used an ACR for almost the entire beta, starting out from a green and moving all the way up to a purple rarity. This brings up a quick point that I need to make, and that is, I don't think that we will be collecting purple or superior gear and weapons in our first 8 levels of the game. With the max level being 30, it would be a little quick to reward players with some of the highest rarity loot 1/3 of the way into the levels. I don't have anything to confirm this, but I just wanted everyone to remember, so that they aren't looking for purple gear at 8 levels into the game. And like I mentioned earlier, the realism of everything is everywhere. There is no shortage of detail in this game. Every street has something different. It's almost like there's a story being told around every corner in one way or another. You just have to stop and look to find them. I often found myself wandering around the world just looking at things for hours. And if a game can pull that off, I think it's going to be something special. The last game that made me stop in my tracks and look around was The Last of Us. And those environments in that game were astounding. So the fact that these environments are very similar in both detail and just how they're portraying the whole game is really amazing. But this game isn't about stopping to smell the roses. It's all about shooting things in the face. And the combat is another high point of this game. And although the AI can have its dumb moments, for the most part, they are really smart. Flanking you, pushing up and overrunning you with numbers, they can give you a real challenge. But you also need to find the challenge. Running around the PvE area of the world isn't exactly hard, but try running the Madison Garden mission on hard and you'll soon find yourself taking cover a lot more often. And having multiple enemy types makes for a lot more fun firefights. One of my favorite things to do is shoot the cleaners in their flamethrower tanks. Watch them try to grab it and then explode. It's freaking awesome. The Dark Zone can be a ton of fun, and I enjoyed almost my entire experience there, but I think the rogue status needs some work. which I'll talk about in a minute. But for the most part, every time I entered the Dark Zone, I had a fun and unique experience. You never know what you're going to walk into. And I think that's the best part. It's different every time. And yeah, you'll run into some jerks who spawn kill occasionally, but that's why there are multiple Dark Zone entrances. And chances are the people shooting you will be taken out by other agents in no time. So you just kind of just sit back and hang out inside of the airlock. And also, the Dark Zone polices itself pretty well. When the proximity chat was working, it made interactions really interesting because you were basically talking to the person face to face, like you were both in the Dark Zone in real life. You can invite them to your group, give them a warning, or just totally troll them. I can't wait to hear some of your stories about what people have said over proximity chat. If you have anything interesting or funny to talk about, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say. But anyways, those are some of my favorite things about the beta. Now, obviously, this isn't the full experience. There aren't as many missions, weapons, pieces of gear, or explorable areas as there will be in the full game. This is a small taste of what the full game will be like. And I think there is plenty of reasons to be excited for this game, especially if you love playing with friends, collecting loot, and unlocking new skills and abilities. Plus, I think there will be a ton of content for both PvE and PvP areas of the map with missions to play and then replay on the harder difficulty for better rewards, which I think is really awesome knowing exactly what you're going to get. Then there's the extra co-op mission coming for free post-launch, so I don't think anyone should be worried about how much content is going to be in this game. This was a beta, and a dense beta at that. The few things I think need some tweaking have to do with the rogue status and a few minor things having to do with your group. First off, it's way too hard to survive rogue level 5. I don't know about you, but I had an extremely hard time surviving rogue level 5. Not only did you have to survive 5 minutes of running, but if you shoot at any of other agents and damage them, it resets your timer to full length again. And it's just crazy if you're trying to survive. Now I realize it's not supposed to be easy as a rogue agent, but this is just a little bit too hard, especially when they can shoot at you and pause your timer. Now this might solve itself when we have access to the entire Dark Zone and can run and run and run, but in the beta, having everyone condensed in that small little area might have made it more difficult. Only time will tell. The next rogue status issue I have is when you are rogue level 0, meaning you have shot someone enough to go rogue, but only with a 20-second timer and no bounty. So you basically have shot someone but haven't killed them. And the problem with this is when you get shot at by other enemies, the bullets can either hit you or they can just get close to you and it resets your timer to 20 seconds. So running away doesn't always work. This is really frustrating when you accidentally shoot someone while you're either shooting at a legit rogue or an AI enemy and some bumbling agent steps in front of you and gets shot. Then the entire friendly group that you were working together with now drops you because you're rogue level 0. And I don't really understand this because they don't get any really rewards from it except maybe the loot that you had. So I think they just need to work on that. And the few final things that I'm concerned with don't necessarily need readjustment, they just need to be added all together. And that's the ability to see who's in a group from the group management menu and the ability to inspect other players and see what they have equipped. These two features will help this game fill in any of the tiny gaps of the co-op experience by giving players a way of seeing who might need someone to play with or which of their friends are busy at that time. And then once they're in the squad, they can check out the gear they have equipped in a more detailed way besides just looking at them through their scope or whatever. There you have it, my impressions of the Division beta. Overall, I had an amazing experience. It was one of the most fun times I have had with a video game, and I cannot wait till the launch of this game. What did you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to see what everyone's impressions were of this Division beta. Hope you guys had a great time with it, and keep an eye out on my channel for some more videos coming out that are more in detail with DPS builds, support builds, and maybe a Xbox One versus PS4 graphic comparison. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more The Division content, and until next time, don't trust anyone in the Dark Zone.